and we're going. So, Josh, first off, I pinged you today on LinkedIn, and it was just totally random. And so we're sitting here kind of randomly. Haven't seen you in probably 5+ years, at
Yeah,
least. Haven't seen you in a while.
yeah,
So thank you so much for making the time and talking to current students of mine who are in a C sharp class, brand new first semester students learning if statements and loops and variables and data types, learning all these fundamentals for literally the first couple of weeks they're in class. So thanks for taking the time, man.
yeah. No problem. Happy to do it.
So let's start. If I could try and introduce you, but certainly you could do a better job. So if you don't mind, just kind of introducing yourself to the world.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Joshua Bradley. Josh Bradley. I'm a senior software engineer at CarMax. I've been a software engineer for a little over 10 years now, and really enjoy working in the industry. And it all started with my time at Ranken, and I've had a long career journey in the past 10 years. Worked at several places, but yeah, and I can dive in deeper to any of that, I
Yeah.
guess.
So I'll get you there. If I remember right, and I'll just ask it in the form of a question, did you have any coding experience prior to Rankin? Did you write any code?
I did not. Yeah, it was always intriguing to me, but all of my coding experience came from my time at Ranken.
And then, so you've been out there for 10 years. Current employer is CarMax. Can you kind of walk us through your career as employers are concerned, how long you were at each place, and kind of how that trajectory went, how that path went?
Sure. Yeah. So a little bit before I graduated from Ranken, I started an internship at Engage Software, which is a small consulting company in St. Louis. And I spent about 4.5 years there or so, doing C Sharp and JavaScript type stuff. And I left there and went to Caleres, formerly known as Brown Shoe Company, and that's what people still love to call it. And was a back-end developer there doing mostly C Sharp work. And I spent about 2 years there, a little under 2 years, I guess. From there, I transitioned into a full stack JavaScript role, working as a contractor at Monsanto at the time, which then turned into Bayer while I was there. And I was there less than a year, just under a year, and decided contracting wasn't for me. I was looking for something more stable, so I got another C Sharp backend position at a small financial company in St. Louis called Benefit Finance Partners. And I was there for right around 2 years. And after that, I came to CarMax, where I am now. And I've been at CarMax for almost 2 years now, doing
Awesome.
full stack development, a lot of C Sharp, a little bit of React stuff, all hosted in the cloud with Kubernetes. And yeah,
Hit me with that technology stack one more time. I heard React. Did you mention C Sharp still?
yeah. So most of my experience has been in C Sharp. Right now, I am working in C Sharp pretty heavily. And then also, yeah, React, a little bit of Angular, Node, JS. As far as databases, a lot of SQL Server. Right now, we have our own custom built database for what we're doing, but we also use Cosmos DB in Azure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and some MongoDB experience, some C++ experience. Just trying to think, and then cloud, lots of clouds.
I think that's plenty. That's great. So you more or less have 10 years of industry experience in C Sharp, and this is great because I've got a introductory to C Sharp class going on as we speak. What tips would you give my current students, about whether it's learning this for the first time or what the industry is like with C Sharp jobs and opportunities? Kind of wide open question there, but
Sure. Yeah. The industry is very strong for C# developers. Always has been. I'm always, you know, almost every day, I would say, I get messages from recruiters on LinkedIn, like, hey, I've got this C# job opportunity. So it's very strong. It's definitely a good skill to have. As far as working with C#, it's a very friendly language, I would say. And it's, every release they add more features, and it's a good language to work in general. Trying to think of what else. Focus on the fundamentals. Syntax. The way you do things may change over the years as they release new features, but the fundamentals are the most important part of it. And if you have good fundamentals, it's easy to transition to, the new features as they come out, I guess.
Yeah, and so yesterday, just to relate this to home and to this class, I was lecturing over a switch statement for the first time. And I was kind of pointing out, hey, in this version, now you can do this with a switch statement. You used to not be able to do that. And now with version 9, you could do this with a switch statement. But I went back to okay, let's just focus on the basics of a switch statement, how it's fundamentally it's always worked, and it's going to work like this in other languages as well. So we definitely are hitting those fundamentals that you're talking about.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the stuff that they've been adding in recent years, like for the switch statement, it definitely makes the language more friendly. But it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
That it's.
Yeah.
So.
And I want to share with you the textbook that my afternoon class is going through.
Nice.
Yep. So we are doing full stack web apps with MVC and Entity Framework and deploying to Azure and all this kind of good stuff. So that's more of a second year curriculum right now, but just wanted to kind of share that with you. So why did you get into this industry?
Yeah. Honestly, I just thought that it sounded really interesting, and I needed to do something, I guess. So, I was just kind of a young man, and knew that I needed to focus somewhere. And I saw Ranken was offering the program, and I was like, oh, that sounds really, really fun and interesting to me. So that's really why I got into it, I guess.
Yeah. In your 10 years of experience, do any software projects kind of stand out as maybe fun or cool, or anything that you did that was unique?
Sure. So the project that I'm working on right now has probably been the most unique and fun experience that I've had. I've got tons of them, but it's such a unique problem. So talk about what we're doing at CarMax right now is we're really trying to digitalize car buying experience. And you come online and you can kind of shop with your finance terms. And my team is the team that is powering those finance terms on vehicles. So you give us some information about you, and then we're just basically providing really accurate estimates on every vehicle, what your monthly payment will be on every vehicle in our inventory. And we try to be penny perfect on that. Historically, the car buying experience is, you only know your monthly payment, your interest rate, that sort of stuff, when you submit an application on that vehicle. And it's a very time-consuming process. So this really speeds that up, because you can submit on one car or on no cars at all, and then you can see what your monthly payment should be on every car, 50,000 plus cars. But this creates some pretty unique performance constraints, because if we have thousands of people applying on cars, and then they're shopping with their finance terms, and for each one of those thousands of people, we have to figure out their finance terms for 50,000 vehicles, because we don't know what type of vehicle they're interested in. And we ended up doing before I went on paternity leave, it was around 700 million decisions on vehicles a day. So it creates really unique performance things. And like, this is all real time in the web. So we need to be very performant with this. And, how fast can we do 50,000 vehicles for this customer to give them their finance terms? And, it's all hosted in the cloud and with Kubernetes and containerized and, pretty resilient. So this has been the most unique project that I've worked on in my experience. Just thinking about maybe some others. When I was working at Brown Shoe, I was a key contributor.
Before you go on to app number 2, I just want to give you my impression of that's impressive. Holy crap kind of thing, those numbers are clearly huge numbers, and so your software has to be able to tolerate a heavy workload. Like you said, 700 million was the number, daily kind of request for car payment, all this financial data for each customer. I mean, that you're dealing with some modern day challenges. You have software that's widely available, widely used, and you have to make that happen.
Yeah, it's been really exciting, and I've really enjoyed my time working on this.
Wow, very cool. You were continuing.
Sure. Yeah. So another project that I really enjoyed working on was when I was at Caleres, or Brown Shoe, as people better know it. During my time there, we were really pushing with buy online, pick up in store. So that was a big project. It wasn't available before I got there. And that's something that, I was a key contributor on, is implementing, going to famousfootwear.com. So Caleres owns Famous Footwear. And about 14, or at the time it was like 13 other shoe brands, and I know they picked up some since, but they might have dropped some too. So I don't know how many shoe brands they own.
Sure.
But they own Famous Footwear. That's one of their biggest, or their biggest. And so you would go to famousfootwear.com and you could buy a pair of shoes and see, this is in stock at my local store, and place your order, and then Associate would get something on their POS system, and basically complete that order, go get those shoes, set them aside.
Well, that's
so
cool. Thinking about just how COVID changed the world and how many stores do that now, right? I mean, all the grocery stores, they all kind of offer that service where it's like, or Target, I can place an order online and they'll bring it out and put it in my trunk, and so you were part of an implementation of that.
Yeah.
Probably before COVID.
It was a few years before COVID. They were just trying to be prepared. So that would have been in like 2016 or 2017.
Nice.
But that was a really exciting project, working across basically the entire company to make that work. We have to get the inventory at the stores, and it's got to be real time, and just a lot of unique problems to solve there.
Very cool. Very cool. So what's a day in your life like? Are you a remote worker? Are you in the office? You mentioned paternity leave right now, so congratulations. But a normal day, 9 to 5, what's it like for you?
Sure. Yeah. So the last 6 weeks have been paternity leave. I go back to work next week, but I am a remote worker, fully remote. So CarMax headquarters is based in Richmond, Virginia, and they have offices in Richmond and then also the Dallas, Plano area that I'm more than welcome to go to anytime I want to. But I live here in the St. Louis area still, and I don't really have an office that I can go to on a daily basis. As far as like time, very flexible with work time. Like we have meetings, they're based on the East Coast, so my first meeting that I generally need to attend unless I have a reason not to is at 8 a.m. But after that, it kind of opens up, and I might have more meetings throughout the day. It depends on how busy of a day it is, but really I'm the keeper of my own calendar, and I can block off time if I need to, like if I have a doctor's appointment or something like that. Just a lot of flexibility, and I generally finish working around 4. sometimes 5, sometimes sooner. Just kind of depends. Yeah.
That's nice to have that flexibility. What would you say that your stress level is? Not necessarily at CarMax, just in general as a developer. Is it a high stress job, low stress, somewhere in between, average? Would you say? What do you think?
It's probably pretty average. So my team, like, while we do have some really unique problems and it's really high performance, it also doesn't block the car buying experience. So, like, if our services go down for some reason, it's not an emergency we have to jump on. We do still try to get that resolved as soon as possible because it's hindering experience, but it's not blocking. So it's not super urgent. All of our problems, if it needs to wait an hour, that's fine. As far as like stress, it comes and goes with the projects. Sometimes you have deadlines, and but for the most part, I would say it's probably a pretty average stress job. Yeah.
Cool. I had another question pop into mind, but that's popped right back out. So let's see. What advice would you give? Well, let me ask. Here's it's coming back to me. You're a senior software developer. What percentage of your day are you writing code versus meetings and other tasks, emails, and just not writing code?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it varies from day to day. But on average, I would say, Microsoft has the new handy feature where they tell you how much time you spend in meetings now every week. And I would say that between 40 and 50% of my time is in meetings these days. That's varied throughout my career and, the projects that I'm on. But right now, I'm spending about half my time in meetings. And the other half, of that, I would say a good majority is writing code and, accomplishing goals, I guess, but then also have to make time for mentoring others and, just sending emails and that sort of thing. So probably about 40% of my time is writing code.
40%. And so you talk about mentoring others, and so you've acted as mentor in this industry, and assuming you've interviewed entry level or lower level positions, what, again, kind of going back to the advice for beginners, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to become you? Like, you have a 10-year super successful career. If you want to do like I did, this is going to help you do that.
Sure. Yeah. Again, going back to focusing on the fundamentals, those are the things that go across languages, go across jobs. There's always going to be career specific or job specific things that you'll need to pick up on. But yeah, just really focusing on the fundamentals and, trying to find, just always trying to better yourself, always being open to criticism, constructive criticism, obviously, but yeah, just always trying to, and I feel like I was fortunate, my first job at Engage Software, they were really focused on self-better, like trying to improve yourselves and always trying to get us to do things outside of the box that we weren't necessarily comfortable with. Like, I spoke at a conference there, and it's not something that I was really comfortable with at the time, let alone now, I feel like. And, always reading books to try and improve, and the soft skills will always help you as well. But yeah, really the fundamentals and soft skills, I guess.
Yeah, and I also heard something in there that a term that comes to mind is a growth mindset. One thing that anybody who doesn't even know this industry will tell you is that it's always changing, and so you have to grow with it. And so having that growth mindset, always learning, making yourself uncomfortable, that's how you're going to grow, and really learning to enjoy that process of being uncomfortable. and enjoying it. So
Yeah, definitely. There's always something new. There's always something to learn. And yeah, having that growth mindset really will help you.
yep, I agree. Um, what tips would you give to someone trying to get their foot in the door? Any job like what makes someone stand out as an entry level candidate?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess the first thing I would say is, keep trying. I know when I was going to try and get my first entry level job, it took quite a few interviews, and it's hard to get your foot in the door, I guess. But once you do, it's like, and it's definitely possible, I will say. And once you do, it's a whole different world. Like once you have a year of experience, it's completely different. The market entirely changes from hard to extremely easy to get your next job, I guess. And as far as tips, again, the fundamentals, the soft skills that I was talking about, and really just, like having that growth mindset, and personality might come into play a little bit, in terms of like growth mindset and trying to think of.
Do you have or did you have a portfolio that was beneficial at all, or not so much?
I did not. I had started to like kind of build something like that. Maybe I did have like a personal website at the time. Thinking back, it's been some time, and like kind of highlighted some skills. But yeah, it's definitely not. That would be good to have to be able to show off your skills, and I guess spend a lot of time preparing for interviews and the standard interview questions that you may get, and have answers for those, so you're not like stumbling along. You look prepared, I guess, will always help.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. What general guidance would you give someone around salary expectations? Let's just say it's 2 years from now, 2025. These new developers are looking to get their first job. What kind of numbers should they expect or kind of think is reasonable?
Sure. I really don't know. I can guess. As far as I do a lot of interviewing, and some are entry level candidates, but like the numbers I don't really deal with at my current company. At my old company I did, but they wouldn't be. We weren't hiring entry level people at that job. So, it's. I would say, coming out of it with a 2-year degree, maybe 50 or 60-ish at this time. And I would just say, take any job you could get at that point in time, and the money will come later.
That's spot on advice. It really is. It's not if your concern is the money, the way you get that is with real world experience.
Yep.
The money will come if you're good or even average.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so last question that I have at least written is, you've been in this industry for 10 years. Do you see this sailing off into the sunset and retirement, or do you see your career change maybe 5, 10, 15 years in the future?
That's a great question. Definitely throughout my career, I've toyed around with the idea of maybe trying to get into like management and not being hands-on coding. As far as like leaving the software development industry, I don't see that happening. I see staying in the development industry in some fashion until retirement.
Nice. All right, so here's an impromptu question. A student asked me this one today, so I'm going to forward the question to you. Hey, this ChatGPT is really impressive, and I can see it can write some code. Do you think we should have concerns for the industry about the survival of the industry?
Sure. I've seen quite a bit on it since it's came out, and At this point in time, no, because yes, it can write some very simple code, but once you get to more complex problems, it's going to struggle. And the data set of ChatGPT is almost the entire internet. And so if this is going to struggle with complex problems, there's not much more that it can do. So, how do you train a model without the data? And yeah, this is getting into data science. And, if the data that you have available to you is the entirety of the internet, and you're still struggling with some more complex tasks, then yeah, I don't see it taking any jobs away from you.
Well, you gave a better answer than I did, so I appreciate that. Thank you. But our answer was the same. Your reasoning was better, but our answer was the same. So I'm glad we agree on that. At least our opinions on that. So, man, you really gave some great answers. I really appreciate the time. But I also like to open it up to my class for some kind of impromptu questions. And so, again, I got a handful of students. This is an industry expert. We got on the other line. He's here to help answer your questions. Let's start with Steven.
Do you think it's impressive to build like a C# project instead of like any other languages?
So the question is, do you think it's impressive to build a C# app over other languages? In other words, what if you had to build like your main app, what would it be in?
Yeah, if I was building my main app, I would probably, depends on what it is. I am big on choosing the right tool for the job, although in that case, for me, it is C# because it's something that I know the best. So it really depends. Like if you're trying to find C# jobs, then yes, I would definitely write that in C#. If you feel like as you're going through your classes that you are leaning towards another particular language, I would dive more in with that. And C# is a great language, and it's a lot of the fundamentals transition to pretty much every other language. So I wouldn't say it's harmful to build your main app in C#, but there are obviously other things that you could build it in as well.
Very cool. Very cool. James?
Besides Ranken, did you have any other schooling or certifications?
Besides Ranken, did you have any other schooling or certifications?
Yeah, I guess I did leave that out. So after Ranken, I was working at Engage Software, and I did go to night school at Lindenwood and got my bachelor's degree in information technology.
Did you feel that was necessary?
It's not necessary. It will. It opens some doors that might be closed to you otherwise, but it's completely possible to have an entire career without needing that piece of paper. I wouldn't. Yeah. It's not required by any means.
Cool. Good question. Good answer. I like it. And I'll just expand. I agree completely. There are some companies that I would call old-fashioned or old school, and they've got some really hard requirements of a bachelor's degree. And if it's a hard requirement for the job, and you could have 10 years experience and an associate's, you could be the best developer in Missouri. But if you don't check that bachelor's degree box, you might not be able to land that job. But then it just means you have other opportunities, right? You go work for other companies.
Yep. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. And one of my companies that I worked for was like hard and fast. If they don't have a bachelor's degree, we don't consider them. But yeah, I would definitely say that company fell more into the old-fashioned category of companies. So.
Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
So you said how you would like take a lot of like interviews and stuff. Like you could possibly take a lot of interviews to get your first job, but was it available to like go to a Ranken like where like the companies that come to Ranken that allow you to go there directly, or?
So we have like a job fair. So the question is, you interviewed quite a few times, and on that first job, it was hard work to get it. Did you do like the Ranken job fair, and did that assist you in any way?
Yeah. So yeah, I think I went on like 7 or 8 interviews. Some of those were from the Ranken Job Fair. I did go to the Ranken Job Fair. And Engage Software, where I ended up working, was one of the companies that was at the Ranken Job Fair that year as well. So yeah, the Ranken Job Fair was extremely beneficial for me finding my first job.
Great. Yes.
Did you just do like the work certificate program, or did you go in for the full associates at Ranken?
Did you get a certificate or an associate's degree at Ranken?
I got an associate's degree. Yeah.
Yep, you got the associate's degree, which is why you were able to transfer into Lindenwood. Did you transfer in as a junior?
That's a great question. Most of my credits transferred, and probably, yeah, like a junior, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and that is something that you guys should know, is that Ranken is an accredited school, which means you can transfer it to the university. And then it's really the receiving university's job to look at your credits and see if they're applicable for their degrees. And so places like Lindenwood and Webster, they're very friendly in accepting our credits. So we have a lot of students that go to those universities afterwards, again, if they choose. When I say a lot of students, if I had to guess, maybe 10 to 15, 10 to 20%, 1 out of 10 people choose to go on. Again, because it's not a requirement. Especially if you get that first job and you just want to get into the industry, not a requirement by any means. Good questions. Other questions? I really think we covered a wide array of topics, and so not to say we got it all, but Jacob, did you have a question?
No.
You're stretching. Okay. Any other questions? I don't want to say we got it all, but we did cover quite a bit of information. And again, I took 40 minutes of your time, which is a little bit over budget. So congrats on the kid. Congrats on the successful career.
Thank you.
I think all 25 students sitting in these chairs right now would love to end up in your seat. So that you are something to strive after and become. So thank you for being an example.
Yeah, happy to get back on and chat with you and everyone. And yeah.
2 more questions, real quick. If you have entry-level positions at CarMax, let's talk. I'd love to show you the curriculum, and I'd love to show you some of the stuff that we're producing. So that's not really a question, but let's continue the conversation. Number 2, I have a Toyota Corolla to sell. Obviously, if CarMax sells vehicles, they must also buy them, correct?
Yeah, we definitely always prefer to source our vehicles buying directly from a customer rather than other dealerships.
Okay.
Make more money that way. And yeah, you can go online and get an instant offer for your vehicle. It works for 95% of people.
So if I do that, if I go on your website and I get an instant offer on my Toyota Corolla, how much of that software did you write?
None.
Okay.
So, yeah, focus solely on the financing part of buying a vehicle. So
Okay.
CarMax is a big company. It's I think it was like Fortune 167. Last time I looked, might have changed, but yeah, it's a very big company. We have probably 1,000 or more developers at our company. So yeah, that's not a piece of the software that I've worked on.
1,000 developers, very cool, man. Fortune 167, man. I'm just envious of your career. Congratulations, man. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Nice chatting with you, and
Yeah.
let's stay in touch, man.
Yeah, definitely. It was great. Thanks.
All right, take care. Talk to you later.
You too.
Bye.